Welcome to the High Performance Gym, the personal and business development podcast for health coaches and personal trainers. My name is Keir, former personal trainer and gym owner turned high performance coach and lifestyle entrepreneur. My mission is to help coaches develop their entrepreneurial qualities and the business to create a freedom-focused lifestyle. I believe we all have a uniqueness that we need to unleash to achieve this, and this is your genius. Each week I'll be bringing you an inspiring person or message to help you perform at a higher level so you can become a confident and resilient coach to build the business of your dreams. So thanks for tuning in today, and I hope you enjoy the show. So welcome to today's episode. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to apologise in advance because I've got a little bit of a cold, and if I sound a bit bunged up or start spluttering and coughing halfway through, then that is why. But I'm here we are, so let's go. So this episode, I'm going to talk about if you actually need to be qualified or not. And here's the truth. You do not need to be qualified. You don't need to be qualified. That's it. Podcast over. Thank you for listening and goodbye. I'm only joking, of course. Let me go into this because this is probably going to ruffle a few feathers, and there was a lot of people who would disagree with this, and that's cool. But let me give you my insight to this, why I don't think you need to be qualified, and what you can do instead. Okay, so this is the problem when, especially what I've seen a lot through the personal training world, is people focus specifically on qualifications. This is kind of what they do. The hold off from doing the thing that they want to do. Whether that's going into coaching or whether that's becoming a personal trainer or whatever it is, the hold off from doing it because they haven't got the qualifications. But the qualifications are not necessary to actually operate as a coach or a personal trainer. Now, if you were going to go into a gym, this is different. Okay, so if you are, like when I very first qualified as a personal trainer, like going back, more than 13 years ago now, probably 20 years ago, when I very first did my personal training qualification, like online wasn't really a thing then. There was no ways of me, if you wanted to go and train people, you had to be inside a gym, or you could take people outside or whatever it was. So the stipulations or the regulations to getting into a gym, you had to be qualified. Like you had to have your level 2, you had to have your level 3, or like gyms wouldn't employ you. That was just the standard to get access into a gym, which I agree with. I think you should have that if you are like new to the industry. Then you need to have something behind you to get that base knowledge, like that baseline knowledge. But my point in this is, it's in this day and age, it's not necessary because we have the online world now. We have the online world where you don't need to be qualified to teach people something. And this, I'm telling you this because it's a liberating, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. What I'm saying is it's a liberating type of feeling, because what personal trainers do specifically is they just load themselves up with qualifications. So what they do is they become qualified level 2, and they get level 3, which again, standard. But then they go down a massive rabbit hole of getting loads of qualifications because they think that they need them. Like they think that they need to be qualified as a nutritionist. They think they need to be qualified in kettlebells and spin bikes and all these types of things. And the reason why this happens is because if you do go and work in a gym, then, the powers would be, they'll say, well, you need to be qualified in kettlebells. Well, you need to be qualified in TRX. Well, you need to be qualified in spinning bikes and blah, 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 blah. But all these are tools. Like, these are just tools, whether you're on a flipping spinning bike, whether you've got a kettlebell in your hand, whether you're taking someone for a walk, right? This is just a tool that you're using to solve a deeper problem. This is the thing. But because trainers just focus specifically on getting all these qualifications, then they kind of miss the point. And the point is solving a problem. The biggest thing you need to do with people is solve the problem. Yeah? People don't care about qualifications. In my entire 13 years of being a personal trainer, I've been asked probably a handful of times, and that's probably stretching it, what my qualifications were. Now, I've spent a lot of money on qualification. This is kind of one of the reasons I want to bring you this episode, because I've spent a ton. I've done a degree, which cost me 30k in debt for a start. I've done all my personal training qualification. I got strength and conditioning. I went down so many rabbit holes of getting qualified in different areas, and I'm not saying I didn't learn from these things. I did, but they weren't necessary, and that is a point that I want to kind of give you now. These things aren't necessary. Again, going back to what personal trainers do, they have such a broad perspective, and they try to get qualified in everything because they think it makes the CVs look better, but it doesn't. Because again, people don't care about the qualifications. They care about the result that you can get. All right, that's they care about the result. That is all they care about. Somebody comes to you wanting you to solve a problem. It's like, look, I'm 30 pounds overweight. I need you to help with this. Learning kettlebells and TRX, is that going to help that person out of the problem? Probably not. Yeah. What you do with this is you can then focus your attention specifically on helping this person out of that problem. And that is what we do as coaches and as personal trainers. Like when I first qualified as a personal trainer, when I really first done my qualification, I actually failed my exam 4 times. I first done it when I was 21. I didn't actually become a personal trainer until I was, I think 28 or 29. Something like that. Maybe no, 27. I think it was 27 because I've done it for about 13 years. So it was 27. And when I very first done it at the age of 21, it was quite an intensive course. And it was like level 2. So level 2 was like a 13-week course and it was very intensive. And do you know what? It was amazing because I was shown how to use barbells, dumbbells, showing people how to move properly. To me, this is like the fundamentals. That is the basics of what you need and what you want as a personal trainer. And it was amazing. I learned so much from it. The problem was when it got higher up, because what they try to do is with the qualification, instead of actually using the practical sense, they try to get you to be smart. Like you had to go through ridiculous amounts of understanding the squat and all of the kind of the mechanics from it to the insertion points of the muscle. It was just ridiculous. Like if somebody's coming to you and they're 40-year-old and they want to lose some weight, does it actually matter if you understand the actual ins and outs of a squat? If you can just show someone how to do it and get the benefits from it, and that's all you need. You don't need all of these kind of crazy things that they make you do in your personal training qualification. Because if we're honest, the personal training qualification in most cases sucks. It does. It sucks because you're so focused on learning the stuff that's not practical, they don't teach you the business side of it. And this is the problem, because once you're let out to the world, like once you're finished and you're done, then like you're put out in the world and you're by yourself. And if you have no business experience, or you don't have any knowledge of what they've actually taught you and say, look, like this is what personal training is, this is how you get clients, and this is how you build a business, awesome, then you're going to be on the track of, getting what you want out of it. But you're not given that. What you're given is a load of information that chances are you're not going to even use half of it, and then you put out in the world and say, right, where do I go now? Like, what do I do? Where do I go? I've got these qualifications, but I have no clue of what to do with it. Yeah, and this is like the big part of it, because it happens all of the time, and I say it so much. I spend a lot of time in groups and like talking to trainers, and they're always just looking, they're thinking that getting qualifications is going to bring them more clients, and this is quite a common trend, and this is what a lot of coaches are doing. They say, well, I'm really struggling to get clients, so I'm going to go and do my strength and conditioning. It's like, right, why are you going to go and do your strength and conditioning? Are you going to become specifically a strength and conditioning coach? Well, no, but it's just going to give us something else to my arsenal. It's like, no. Like, just if you want to learn strength and conditioning and you only want to learn it because you want to teach your clients how to move better, then that's fine, but you don't need it. Or just hire yourself a coach and learn the movements yourself. Everything I learned, the deadlifting specifically, because I was really sucked at the deadlift, it was just self-taught. Because I was so bad at it, I needed to learn how to do it properly. And that is where you get your best information from. The problem is with qualifications, like qualifications are governed. If you take a personal training as an example, it's governed by organisations, and they teach you what they want to teach you. I mean, my course, when I first done it, right, it had it was ridiculous what they had in it. There was a walking for fitness part of it. There was another couple of things, like random things that you didn't need. Like, yeah, they would add some value to a client if you want to go and take people and do power walking, which I kind of did a group on that. It was quite interesting. You kind of waddle like a duck, but it's actually quite challenging. I had a women's group when I very first qualified, and it was it was entertaining. I absolutely loved it. But my point is with that, it's like unless you're going to go and do something specifically, it's not really necessary. Like you don't really need it. And yeah, it's going back to my point earlier. Like when I very first done mine, there was a lot of things in there that you didn't need, and this is the point. But there's a lot of elements to these certifications that you don't need because they want you to follow a specific path. They want you to learn the things that they want you to learn. So you're kind of put into this tunnel vision. It's like the schooling system. Like the educational system is shocking. It is absolutely shocking. I mean, think about it from this perspective. Our kids, I mean, I've got kids that are in school, yeah? But they're taught things like algebra and trigonometry, and you could go into all these kind of things, but they're not taught about finances and assets and liabilities. The actual things that can stop people from going into debt, that can actually help people to create freedom in life. They're not taught these things, and it's any kind of wonder that the average debt per UK household. This is including mortgages, is £62,813,000. This is in the UK. Yeah, per adult, this was £33,006. Yeah, and it's like people are in so much debt. Like to me, money is a big factor that people should be learning, but they're not taught in school. Why? Because, well, I've got no idea why. Because it doesn't match the curriculum, and that's the point. What I'm trying to kind of get with this is with qualifications. You're following a curriculum. You're not following, like if you're doing stuff on your own, like my best knowledge came from just learning myself. And it was a case, okay, I've got this client and they need to solve this problem and I have no clue how to do that. What do I need to do? Well, what I've got to go and do is figure it out. Like go out and do some research and then find it. But these are the things that you're not given. You're just given this basic qualification and then told to go and do it. You've got to follow this particular curriculum. It's like when I done my degree, it was exactly the same. I remember sitting and doing my degree, and I sat in a specific lecture, and it was on health and wellness. I'd done a sports science degree, but this particular part was on health and wellness, and I thought, this is amazing because I've been learning loads of stuff from my clients for nutrition and everything like this, and I was really excited for this this module, and it was like I thought this is like the next level stuff. This is the stuff that I'm missing to get my clients the next level results. And you know what? It was absolutely bullshit. It was absolutely bullshit. It was just terrible. I sat through. It was all based on government regulations and guidelines, which was years and years out of date, and it was terrible. And I even said at the end, I said, look, I was disheartened by it because I just paid like flipping $9,000 or something for the course that was teaching me something I could just learn off the website, the government website. And then when I asked the lecturer, I said, look, like, this stuff is really dated. Like, why are you teaching this? And she just said, look, I agree. But the fact is, it takes so long to change the curriculum. It costs so much money to change the curriculum. We can only do it on I think it was a 5 or 10 year basis. I can't remember what it was. So the information that they were given was actually really, really dated. But because it's so much hassle to change, then, it was just, it was too much of a hassle. And basically what she said was, we just need people to get through the degree. And that is it. We just need you to qualify. That is our job, is to get you to qualify. What I'm saying by this is, yes, you get this qualification at the end of it, but in most cases, the practical knowledge that you've got is irrelevant to today's world. Like most of my education and knowledge has come from just doing it. I first started off training kids and I had no clue what to do. I was just like, wow, what do I do? So I just done some extensive research. I just really kind of researched. I watched what other people were doing. And this gave me, I eventually went and done a small qualification in youth development. But I only done this because I wanted to add to my arsenal. I didn't want to add to my arsenal. I wanted to be taught of somebody who was actually already doing it. And this guy who was doing it was already doing it. I respected what he'd done. It wasn't the fact that it was a 10-week course where I'm going to get this massive qualification at the end of it. It was just a small certificate to say that you kind of attended. And to me, these are the biggest things. If you go on weekend seminars or you go to live events and you go to these things where you're not given a certificate specifically, it's more just a matter of education or knowledge, because what you'll find is with these types of things, that is up-to-date research. That is up-to-date information that you can use in a practical sense. Yeah. And that is, this is kind of why I don't, yes, I do think you need to be qualified in a certain respect, like the baseline level. If you've never done any coaching in your life, then I'll go and do a basic a basic qualification. And, if you start in personal training for the first time, then do some baseline qualification that gives you the insights of what you need to do. But other than that, it's just learning off your own back and saying, look, like, wait until a client comes up to you. Like, I was training a lot of women at the time, and one day one of my clients came up to me and said, I've got something to tell you, I'm pregnant. Do I have to stop training now? I was just like, in my mind, I was like, uh-oh. I was like, I have no clue what to do here. But I just said, look, it's fine. We'll work it out. I don't want you to stop training. And that was like, to me, that was a big decision. I was really uncomfortable. But I'm so pleased that I'd done it, because what I'd done from that, I just went and done a massive amount of extensive research to how you train women who were pregnant. I didn't need to go and do a pre-postnatal qualification. It wasn't something that I was going to go into specifically, but that problem arose, and that was a problem that I had to solve at the time. And because that happened, if I said, oh look, actually I can't train you because I'm not qualified in that area, then she would have spent the next 8 months piling on loads of weight and not doing what was actually good for a baby, and that was continuing to train and look after her health. Yeah. Now, if I kind of said, well, do you know what, I really enjoyed this, I need to learn more about it and get into depth, then go down that, maybe the more qualification route, or use that as a specific area that you go into. But my point with this is, unless you're going to go down that specific area, then you don't need to be qualified in it. Like, don't stress about the qualifications and say, well, I can't do this until I've got the qualification. Then waiting 6 months till you're qualified, or waiting 6 months till that qualification comes up, and then going to do your qualification. By that time, you've just wasted nearly a year of your life. That's kind of what I see a lot. And the kind of solution to this is basically what I've just said. You want to be able to solve a client's problem. So let's just say you just come into the personal training world, and you've been given your basic qualification. Do you want to go down the rabbit hole of getting loads of additional tools like TRX and all these kind of things? I mean, learning those stuff, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because if it's something that you want to learn, then that's great, but it's not going to get you any more clients. The best thing you need to do is say, okay, what I need to do is I need to identify who I want to work with. I want to work with this person. What problems do they have? Like, for example, if you work specifically with young guys who want to add muscle, then learning spin bike and these types of things are going to be pointless, aren't they? Because that's just, they don't need that. What they need to understand is how you build muscle. How they need to understand hormones and testosterone and recovery and training. They need to understand those types of things. On the flip side, if you're kind of training somebody who is maybe 40 pounds overweight, who's maybe in the 60s, for example, and you're learning strength and conditioning, would that benefit her? I mean, maybe. I'm not saying it wouldn't, but it's not really going to be specific to her problem, because her biggest problem is losing the weight. Like, so on that side of it, it's about behavioural change and habits and these types of things, and getting it to move, and not going down a throat with loads of education. And that's what coaches do, what personal trainers do. And I've done that for years. I would learn something, and I was just telling people, all my content was based on knowledge and education, and people don't care. They don't care, unless they're really specifically interested in how a deadlift works. They don't really care. All I want to do is lose some weight. All I want to do is be more healthy. All I want to do is feel better. And that is the thing. And that's just what coaches are missing. They're missing that element. They're missing what people want and how they want to feel. They want to get the specific result. They don't want to learn how to do plyometrics or box jumps or whatever it is. Yes, you can use these as tools, but specifically, how do you solve that problem? And this is what I want this podcast for now, is so you can get this. Well, I need to get qualified on my level 3, 4, 5, and 6 in nutrition, and then I'm going to move to my strength and conditioning. I'm going to do my levels 2, 3, 4, and 5 in this, and then I'm going to move on to GP referral, and then I'm going to move on to mental health. And it's like, you've got to have all these things. You're going to be confused by what you want to do. First of all, just have a look at the problem you want to solve. If you want to work in mental health, if you want to work with people who are obese, if you want to work with people to build strength or performance, what area do you want to work in? What areas do you find yourself attracted to? Then say, okay, what do I need to do to get my knowledge up? And this is a difference. I see there's a massive difference between education and knowledge. Education is, I see education as a system. You put into a system, like a schooling system. People tell you how to train. People tell you what to learn and how to learn it. Knowledge is different. Knowledge is what you acquire through your years of experience. Knowledge is what you acquire on the fly of like saying, okay, I've got this problem. How do I solve it? Well, I've got to go and figure this problem out now. So you disappear and you figure that out. Whether you read books, you do research, whatever that is, that's where you get your best knowledge from. And knowledge is power. Education isn't power. Education is just a means of stimulating your brain. And that's kind of what I see it at. I see knowledge as different because it gives you the freedom to learn what you want to learn, as opposed to being put into a system and being told what to learn. You have the freedom to learn what you learn by knowledge. And this is in your power, and you can do that. So, yeah, I hope that was insightful. I didn't want this podcast to be too long on that, but I hope that was insightful of why I think qualifications are a myth. Again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be qualified. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get qualifications. What I'm saying is they're not all that. Yeah, they're not going to give you more clients. They're not going to give you any type of status. Yeah, results give you status. Results give you reputation. Results give you credibility. Results is what you're looking for. Qualifications are just a means to an end, really. You know, again, if you want to go down some specific route and you're going to go into a career, then yeah, you need some qualifications. But in general, look at the problem that you want to solve and then look to what you need to do after that. Yeah. So I hope that was insightful. I hope that gave you some kind of clarity and a shift away from looking at qualifications, because again, I just see this so much going on that I wanted to get my point across with this, because it's painful when you're seeing people going down this route. I've been there, I've done it. That's what I've done for years, and I spent tens and tens of thousands of pounds getting qualified and all of these things, and you don't need it. Yeah. So that's kind of it. I'm pleased that you're here today. If you want to take this a step further, then you can join my Fitness Business Accelerator program, and this is exactly what we'll cover. We cover the first part of the first part of the Business Fitness Accelerator program is we cover clarity. So this is by you getting that insightful, understanding the niche that you want to work with, understanding the problem that you solve and cultivating your message. That is the first part that we kind of work on with that. The second part is building up a client attraction system. So basically, you build this message, you know exactly who you want to work with, then you build this client attraction system to get those people into your business. Yeah. And then the final part is building a course. So it's building like an online course, an online program, your signature program that solves that problem for that specific person that you've identified. Yeah. So I'm basically working on clarity, clients, and course. That's kind of how we work. That's how I work with Fitness Business Accelerator. I don't use this podcast really to promote that as much. I want it more as information for you. And I can feel my nose getting really snotty at the minute. Apologies. I wanted to give this more information for you so you can kind of get some insights and you can go away and start, putting these steps into action now. So if you are focused on qualifications, then just step back, listen to what I've said with this, and just understand, is that qualification necessary? Yeah. If you listen to my last podcast, all right, I can't remember what I titled it now, but it was about, like filtering your decisions. So does it make the boat go faster? Yeah. If you haven't listened to it, please go back. It's only 10 minutes. It'll give you some insights to how you can make decisions. But basically the filter is, does it make the boat go faster? So you're kind of caught up, do I need to do this qualification? It's kind of, okay, does that make the boat go faster? Or for example, does that solve my client's problem? If it doesn't, then don't waste your money on it. You don't need it. Does it make the boat go faster? Yeah, check that out. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate your time, as always. And have a great week. And if you have any questions or anything else that you need help with, please reach out. My contact details are in the show notes. There's some free downloads you can go through there as well to help you with your business. And yeah, again, thank you for being here. Have a great week. Catch you later. Thank you for listening to the show today. I appreciate your time and I appreciate you being here. If you would like some free resources to help you with your business, then click in the show notes. There is some free training and there's also a link to my free group. If you could also share this podcast with anybody that you think would benefit from it, because this helps us actually develop the podcast and spread our message to a wider audience. So that would be very, very grateful if you could do that, and leave us a comment. Let me know how you are actually finding the show and how we can best serve you. So thank you for being here today. Click on the link in the show notes, and I hope to see you in my free group.